Oh, I can see it in your eyes. Let's just take our time. Take my time. Your love's just like heaven in my eyes. And we met up when it first meet, but you know how we love when the weekend rolls around. That's how we put it down. Listen now, you were on your way to your car. You like the bugs that be hanging in the bar. Looking so cool, but casual fly. Sexual moments. You know I had to back this, girl. When I look in your eyes, I can see forever, baby. Can't believe you're mine. Let's just take our time. Ain't no doubt. Ooh, we baby. Your love's just like heaven in my eyes. Hey, I have to take it old school for a minute. How's everyone doing? Welcome to Bible Study Sundays. Bible Study Sundays. All right, so I hope all is well. I hope everybody is doing fantabular. Okay, fantastic. Me and the family are good. Everything is, I'm blessed. I have no complaints. I got more needs than wants, and that is okay. At this time, it's just teaching me patience, and things will come. So, all day. Yes, that was Daheem. You already know. All right, you got vaccinated. That's cool. Congratulations. To each his own. I know that when I got my vaccine, the first day or two was kind of rough. But I mean, it felt like when you had a flu or a cold. So I felt like I had a cold. So, but yeah. So much respect. And for those who choose to not to, you just you pray on it, and move accordingly. I feel like there's a lot of shots that have side effects. Even the ones we take present day, there's not one shot that is 100%. So we just got to take that into consideration when we get the start questioning, mechanisms. Don't have a long trial period and all of that. And this and the other, but I mean, the ones that do still have side effects, and we choose to embark on that immunization path. So I'm not gonna stir too long in that direction. We're here for the word, the listening, but take care of yourself, sis, and mere prayers to you. I'm gonna start off by saying a small prayer. Let me close my thing a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start off by saying a small prayer, and then we're going to start the word. So thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for being with us today on this blessed day and allowing us another day to fulfill our purpose. Thank you for being in our lives, blessing those that are alive and well and those that are hurting or may have lost loved ones recently. Watch over them, let go, let God. Let you help them and guide them towards the light so they can get through and stay on their path to fulfill their purpose. Thank you, archangels. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you, angels. I feel like everybody has a part in this, Lord. Thanks to you. In Jesus' name we pray. We love you, Lord, so much. Amen, amen, amen. So that is that. And like I said, my prayers are freestyle. It's not nothing that you have to be exact about. Just talk to him. And he understands your heart. So don't try to do it any specific way. All right, so we starting from the Genesis. A week or two ago, we started 1 through 9, and I'm gonna start off with 10, and we're gonna keep it moving. All right. So chapter 10, Genesis. This is the family history of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah. After the flood, these three men had sons. So remember that, when the flood came and, kind of cleared everybody from earth. And so the only people that were left was, who was left on the boat, you know what I'm saying? So we have to recall, Noah and his family, and then, his wives and, their families. So, and we starting back over again. So a lot of people say Adam and Eve, which were Noah, and all of them are descendants from, but also just, starting over when he cleared the earth. Here we go. So Japheth's sons. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Rebath, and Tirgamah. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kedem, and Rodanim. Those who lived in the lands around the Mediterranean Sea came from these sons of Japheth. All the families grew and became different nations. Each nation with its own land is its own language. All right. And also taking into consideration that, we have, parts of the world breaking up, like we got all of these different continents. So just thinking how the world, came back together and everything was processed. What's up, Jacksonville? Welcome to Bible study. When they, we were all probably one continent. So as far as moving across this, that, and the others, I know there's a section in the Bible where it talks about parting the Red Sea. And but at the time, were we all broken up in the continents, or were we just, in one big continent, able to inhabit the earth? Ham's sons. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sapta, Rama, and Saptica. The sons of Rama were Sheba and Dedan. Cush also had a descendant named Nimrod, who became a very powerful man on earth. He was a great hunter before the Lord, which is why people say someone like Nimrod, a great hunter before the Lord. At first, Nimrod's kingdom covered Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Babylonia. From there, he went to Assyria, where he built the cities of Neviah, Rehoboth, Ir, and Calah. Don't get me with these names now. I am not perfect with these names. He also built Resen, the great city between Neviah and Calah. All right. Genesis 10:13. Mizraim was the father of Ludites, Anamites, Lahibites, Nephitites, Petrusites, Casuhites, and the people of Crete. The Philistines came from the Casluhites. What is these words like? Did somebody sit down and be like, but okay, but remember, this is translation. It's been translated. So Canaan was the father of Sidon, the first son of Heth. He was also the father of Jebusites, Amorites, and Girgashites, Hivites, Arkites, Sinites, Arvadites, Amorites, and Hamathites. The families of Canaanites scattered. Their land reached from Sidon to Gerar as far as Gaza, and then to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboiim as far as Lasha. All these people, yeah, that's like a tongue twister right there. All these people were the sons of Ham, and all these families had their own languages, their own lands, and their own nations. Man, they look like they had their own names, specific. I don't hear nobody today they calling they kids simple names. Ain't no ites at the end of anything, Shem's son. Shem, Japheth's older brother, also had sons. One of the descendants was the father of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Aphrexad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Aphrexad, oh my goodness, I'm going to spell it Arphaxad, was the father of Shelah, who was the father of Eber. Eber was the father of two sons, one named Peleg, because the earth was divided during his life, and the other was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazar, Mevit, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Dekila, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jabal. All these people were the sons of Joktan, 1030. They lived in the area between Misha and Sephar in the hill country in the east. These are the people from the family of Shem, arranged by family, languages, countries, and nations. This is a list of families from the sons of Noah, arranged according to their nations. From these families came all of the nations who spread across the earth after the flood. All right, so Genesis 11. At this time, the whole world spoke one language. Can you imagine that though? Like the whole world speaking one language. I mean, we can't fathom in this day and age because we got so many cultures and so much diversity. It's wild. But in this chapter, I'm excited to read. We're gonna talk about the languages and how the world became these separated entities. At this time, 11:2. As people moved from the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They said to each other, let's make bricks and bake them to make them hard. So they used bricks instead of stones and tar instead of mortar. They said to each other, let's build a city and a tower for ourselves, whose top will reach high into the sky. We will become famous. Then we will not be scattered over all the earth. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower that people had built. The Lord said, now these people are united, all speaking the same language. This is only the beginning of what they will do. They will be able to do anything they want. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not be able to understand each other. Now you're just, thinking about this right now. You're like, okay, Lord, I thought it sounded like everything was cool. You was digging one language, but now you about to go, confuse some stuff. Why, Lord? So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. The place is called Babel, since that is where the Lord confused the language of the whole world. So the Lord caused them to spread out from there over the whole world. Now, it just stops right there. You be like, well, okay, well, why? Because all he says, come, let's go down and confuse their language so they will not be able to understand each other. But, go tarry into, why he, did that. But hopefully it's explained further. This is the family history of Shem, 11:10. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, his son Arphaxad was born. After that, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad was 35 years old, his son Shelah was born. After that, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah was 30 years old, his son Eber was born. After that, Shelah, I want to say, but it was a dude. Let me see. Sheila, it sounds, feminine. I don't want to disrespect, which is evil. So they spoke one language. Yeah, everybody spoke one language at the time. So where was that? 11:14. When Shelah was 30 years old, his son Eber was born. After that, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber was 34 years old, his son Peleg was born. After that, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg was 30 years old, his son Reu was born. After that, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu was 32 years old, his son Serug was born. After that, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug was 30 years old, his son Nahor was born. After that, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor was 29 years old, his son Terah was born. After that, Nahor lived 119 years old and had other sons and daughters. After Terah was 70 years old, his son Abram, Nahor, and Haran was born. Now, you think about all of how long they had lived, because now, we barely can, get up in the hundreds barely. They were living 200, 300, 400 years, and y'all, I'm gonna probably think everybody looked like raisins walking around. But I just think about the chemicals in the air or the chemicals that was placed during that time. I don't think it was as flagrant. We use a lot of gases and oils and carbon monoxide, and all of that. So I feel like, and, we cook, and eat a lot of processed things. So I feel like, that's why, being healthy is kind of important, because if we lived a different way, or we were able to grow up a different way where we was on, a farm, or everybody had a lot, and, we're able to grow their own food and things, whatever, then we might have that type of growth in years as far as living long. And but I feel like it's possible, but I just think that we have too many things that's in our foods and in our, going on in our soil right now, the digging, oil, and all of that, where it disrupts our, years and growth. 1127, my opinion. This is the family history of Terah. Terah was the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Haran was the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur in Babylonia, where he was born. Abram and Nahor both married. Abram's wife was named Sarai, and Nahor's wife was named Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, who was the father of both Milcah and Ishkah. Sarai was not able to have children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, Haran's son, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abram's wife, and moved out to Ur of Babylonia. They had planned to go to the land of Canaan, but when they reached the city of Haran, they settled there. Terah lived to be 205 years old, and then he died in Haran. Genesis 12. The Lord said to Abraham, leave your country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and I will place a curse on those who harm you, and all the people on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram left Haran as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. At this time, Abram was 75 years old. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and everything they owned, as well as all the servants they had gotten in Haran. They set out for Haran, planning to go to the land of Canaan, and in time they arrived there. 12:6. Abraham traveled through that land as far as the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. The Canaanites were living in the land at the time. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your descendants. So Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. Then he traveled from Shechem to the mountain east of Bethel and set up his tent there. Bethel was to the west, and Ai was to the east. There Abram built another altar to the Lord and worshipped him. After this, he traveled on toward southern Canaan. 12:10. At this time, there was not much food in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to live because there was so little food. Just before they arrived in Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this woman is his wife. Then they will kill me, but let you live. Tell them you are my sister, so that things will go well with me, and I may be allowed to live because of you. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was very beautiful. The Egyptian officer saw her and told the king of Egypt how beautiful she was. They took her to the king's palace, and the king was kind to Abram because he thought Abram was her brother. He gave Abram sheep, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. Now, you see what happens in this point where, it's already that jealousy, coming about, but in the thought that he couldn't just present her as his wife, but as his sister, yielded, an abundance towards him. But I felt like that was still dishonest because that wasn't the truth. And I felt like he, even though he may have wanted to live and, all of the things that he thought about might come true, it's like it's still deceitful, like it's still some type of pride there because, you want to live or you need to move or find another destination where you can be yourself, so I felt like that was deceitful. What's up, Deshelle? How you doing? Welcome to Bible Study Sunday. We're on Genesis 12:17. But the Lord sent terrible diseases on the king and all the people in his house because of Abram's wife Sarai. So the king sent for Abram and said, what have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me Sarai was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister so that I made her my wife? Now here is your wife. Take her and leave. Then the king commanded his men to make Abram leave Egypt. So Abram and his wife left with everything they owned. And so you can see right there, that because he was being deceitful, it worked out horribly. Anyway, he still had to leave. So whether it was, cool or not, or maybe he thought that it would be better in the long run, any form of deceit, is you shouldn't receive any pleasantries from, God. But what's up, Bobby? Okay, now I'm sweetheart. All right, be nice. Be careful now. My sister in the thing now. Don't be getting me tied up in between nothing. All right, what's up? So where we at? 13. Genesis 13. So Abram, his wife, and Lot left Egypt, taking everything they owned, and traveled to southern Canaan. Abram was very rich in cattle, silver, and gold. He left southern Canaan and went back to Bethel, where he had camped before, between Bethel and Ai, and where he had built an altar. So he worshipped the Lord there. During this time, Lot was traveling with Abram, and Lot also had flocks, herds, and tents. Abram and Lot had so many animals that their land could not support both of them together. So Abram's herdsmen and Lot's herdsmen began to argue. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were living in the land at this time. Abram said to Lot, there should be no argument between you and me or between your herdsmen and mine, because we are brothers. We should separate. The whole land is there in front of you. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left. Lot looked all around and saw the whole Jordan Valley, and that there was much water there. It was like the Lord's garden, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose to move east and live in the Jordan Valley. In this way, Abram, Lot, and Lot separated. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, but Lot lived among the cities in the Jordan Valley, very near to Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were very evil and were always sinning against the Lord. Okay, so I'd be like, what's going on like now? Because this is all after, the flood, and the descendants, it's like populating the world. Like, hey, all the, Noah's tribe, everybody that was on there, his sons and the wives, and like they're populating the world at this time. But it's still like there's people or there's these descendants that still are flagrant among, being dishonest. Because you're like, man, I know they heard the story about the flood. And I'm pretty sure, but it's like because all of these descendants started to go or pursue their own, way and, leave the Lord, that's why we have these little pockets of sin and jealousy within that. Because I feel like when it comes down to, just remembering or recalling what happened, years done passed, because you hear that everybody that died 200 years ago, 400, lived to be 400, lived to be 100. So we're talking about decades into the future, and they, forget, oh, that flood was then, this is now, we don't have to worry about that. Let's do this, because the Lord ain't showing up around. We ain't seeing no miracles, So, I feel like that's why, this development starts to happen again. So let me see. I was like 13, 14. After Lot left, the Lord said to Abram, look all around you, to the north and south and east and west. All this land that you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants as many as the dust of the earth. If anyone could count the dust on the earth, he could count your people. Get up, walk through all this land, because I am now giving it to you. So Abram moved his tents and went to live near the great trees of Mamre at the city of Hebron. There he built an altar to the Lord. Genesis 14. Now Amraphel was king of Babylonia. Arioch was king of Elasar. Chedorlaomer was king of Elam, and Tidal was king of Goim. All these kings went to war against several other kings. Bera, king of Sodom, Bera, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. Bela is also called Zor. These kings who were attacked united their armies in the valley of Siddim, now the Dead Sea. They have served Kedor Omer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they all turned against him. Then in the 14th year, Kedor Laomer and the kings with him came and defeated the Raphaites in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzites in Ham, and the Emites in Shavi Kiriathaim. They also defeated the Horites in the mountains of Edom to El Paran, near the desert. Then they turned back and went to Mizphat, that is Kadesh. They defeated all of the Amalekites as well as the Amorites who lived in Hazazon Tamar. Ooh, these are some tongue twisters. 14:8. At the time, the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela went out to fight the valley of Siddim. They fought against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, and finally got out of the kings, man. They fought out of 14:10. There were many tar pits in the valley of Siddim. When the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and their armies ran away, some of the soldiers fell into the tar pits, but the others ran away to the mountains. 14:11. Now Kedorlaomer and his armies took everything the people of Sodom and Gomorrah owned, including their food. They took Lot, Abram's nephew, who was living in Sodom, and everything he owned. Then they left. One of the men who was not captured went to Abram, the Hebrew, and told him what had happened. At that time, Abram was camped near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite. Mamre was a brother of Eshcol and Anar, and they had all made an argument to help Abram. It's a lot of fighting going on in all of these wars. And it's like, why are they fighting, when, things were given to them? It's like, here go this greed developing over time. And we having these issues, of deceit all during this time. And it's like, man, and like what I don't hear, I see like the only one person, like, praying to the Lord, but everyone else is just going around taking, sinning, doing whatever. 14:14. When Abram learned that Lot had been captured, he called out his 318 trained men who had been born in his camp. He led the men and chased the enemy all the way to the town of Dan. That night, he divided his men into groups, and they made a surprise attack against the enemy. They chased them all the way to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then Abram brought back everything the enemy had stolen, the women and the other people in Lot, and everything Lot owned. After defeating Kedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, Abram went home. As he was returning, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shavi, now called King's Valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest for God Most High and blessed Abram, saying, Abram, may you be blessed by God Most High, the God who made heaven and earth. And we praise God Most High, who has helped you to defeat your enemies. Then Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything he had brought back from the battle. The king of Sodom said to Abram, you may keep all these things for yourself. Just give me my people who are captured. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I make a promise to the Lord, the God Most High, who made heaven and earth. I promise that I will not keep everything that is yours. I will not keep even a thread or a sandal strap, so that you cannot say, I made Abram rich. I will keep nothing but the food my young men have eaten, but give Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre their share of what we won because they went into battle with me. So right now, just like going back over, what we covered in the chapters, it just seems like what I'm taking in, the breakdown of after the flood, how, everybody was like, the nations were developed, how languages were adapted, and how, even with these nations being adapted and separated, that there's still conflict. there's still conflict. And, you would think that they all should have some type of, you know, relation to each other because, I mean, they're all of descendants of one another. So it's like, we still breed, it kind of reminds you of modern day. Like, you can have relatives or family, that still, feel some type of way or ill will or what have you, and wars can be drafted behind these things, and war don't have to be like, hey, you get my army. It can be like, ill intent, manipulation, issues, hidden issues that you wasn't, aware of, all through greed. No man shall know the works of God from beginning to the end. That is true. I mean, but at the same time, well, I would agree. I want to say that is true. I would agree with what you're saying because, if we knew everything already, there wouldn't be any lessons to learn. So I think that, it's good to learn lessons as we, journey on this earth, and we can have, but we should be willing to give back, and so if I learn something, I expect you to, teach me something too, and then I always be one-sided, but I feel like people hinder on where the information is coming from, and we dwell on it so long that we forget about, the initial purpose of obtaining that information. Chapter, let me see. 15. All right. After these things happened, the Lord spoke his word to Abram in a vision. Abram, don't be afraid. I will defend you and I will give you a great reward. But Abram said, Lord God, what can you give me? I have no son, so my slave Eliezer from Damascus will get everything I own after I die. Abram said, look, you have given me no son, so a slave born in my house will inherit everything I have. And so that's, like you think about, who are you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, look, what I want, you know what I'm saying? It's like a complaint, but God done brought you so far. Like, why is there questions now? So I feel like everybody always revert to, that I see, well, with the exception of Moses, but we haven't, got there, yet. But when it comes to, him telling you to do something, he didn't question before. But now it's like he getting a little salty because it's like, yeah, I went through this, I went through that, but what I really want, you ain't gave me yet, and I'm thinking like, don't you think God already realizes that, and he has a plan for that. So let me see. He said, so is the Bible about what God did from the beginning to the end? I mean, this is, I feel like this is what it is, like being in that day, whoever ascribes with that, we can't, I feel like what the Bible makes me think of when, have you ever heard of the game where you like sit in a circle and you tell somebody one thing and when it gets to the end is a whole different, it's been, manipulated or people heard what they want, by it. So yeah, when you say spoken by man, I mean, man was around in order to generate this, I don't think God was like, worried about, books at the time, or that there would be a book. He probably knew that man would eventually start to write these things, these representations down. But I felt like because he gave us faith, where he feels like regardless of what man writes or what man put into play, that you have faith that God, has the best intentions. So what is being interpreted, this is all we know. We can't beam back to, the decade, be like, oh man, no, God didn't do this. He did this. All we have is like fragments of history put together by those who felt the need to interpret it and, share it with the world. But of course, we can't rely heavily on things. We have to walk by faith. And that's why he stressed that the importance of walking by faith, because remember, no man shall know that. Exactly. So that's why, I feel like walking by faith is important because every book, there's some type of, I feel like manipulation in it, whether it's to encourage people to buy or be more in tune or be more, able to, aspire or tell people or others about it. We should not rely heavily on this. Like me reading the Bible is something that I just wanted to do so I can be aware, that, hey, I done tapped. There's some things that, may be questionable, but I'm not going to rely heavy on that. I'm going to pray on it and hope God showed me, either answers to my questions or, like whatever he had for me, he won't take me through nothing I can't handle, So I just let go of that burden of relying on the Bible to show me his way, when, like I said, this doesn't come from, started by God, pre-written by man, so none of the Bible start off like that. So we got it up. So keeping moving. All right, so 15, 4. Then the Lord spoke his word to Abram. He will not be the one to inherit what you have. You will have a son of your own who will inherit what you have. Then God led Abram outside and said, look at the sky. There are so many stars you cannot count them. Your descendants also will be too many to count. Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord accepted Abram's faith, and that faith made him right with God. God said to Abram, I am the Lord who led you out of Ur of Babylonia so that I could give you this land to own. But Abram said, Lord God, how can I be sure that I will own this land? The Lord said to Abram, bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old goat, and a 3-year-old male sheep, a dove, and a young pigeon. Abram brought them all to God. Then Abram killed the animals and cut each of them into pieces, laying each half opposite the other half. But he did not cut the birds in half. Later, large birds flew down to eat the animals, but Abram chased them away. As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep. While he was asleep, a very terrible darkness came. Then the Lord said to Abram, you can be sure that your descendants will be strangers and travel in a land they don't own. The people there will make them slaves and be cruel to them for 400 years. But I will punish the nation where they are slaves. Then your descendants will leave that land, taking great wealth with them. And you, Abram, will die in peace and will be buried at an old age. After your great-great-grandchildren are born, your people will come to this land. It will take that long because I am not yet going to punish the Amorites for their evil behavior. After the sun went down, it was very dark. Suddenly a smoking fire pot and a blazing torch passed between the halves of the dead animals. So on the day the Lord made an agreement with Abram and said, I will give to your descendants the land between the river of Egypt and the great river Euphrates. This is the land of the Canaanites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Raphites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. All right. So I wanted to address on right quick because he mentioned 400 years. And I don't know if I recall how long the slaves or slavery acts. So I'm gonna put a question down in the chat. How long was slavery in the United States? How long or how many? I meant to write the rest. I'm sorry. Let me see. How many years was slavery? Okay, so that's the question. All right, because that just made me think of when it said 4 years. I thought about here, this land, descendants, and what's been like preached or said to others is that like I heard it was 400 years. I heard it was 200 years, but hearing and what is had just struck me about like where we at and our descendants and this land and how long it was, the battle, how long the battle. Because I mean, like in this, we're in in the 19th century, slavery ended. But how many years we go back? How long we've been? Our ancestors, were slaves and stuff. So just a question. All right. So starting with 16. Sarai, Abram's wife, had no children, but she had a slave girl from Egypt named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, look, the Lord has not allowed me to have children, so have sexual relations with my slave girl. If she has a child, maybe I can have my own family through her. All right, so I want to stop a moment on that because, here we go with like they married Okay, but because she was not to have child, she offered her slave. So that's where, like I feel like this manipulation comes with, okay, is that godly? Because you think about the commandments and all of that and what they were doing back in the day, and I feel like she was being punished without having children because of the act she did with marrying that kingdom. You remember when she was the sister brother situation? So it was like going along with that when that was wrong. But I mean, that was her husband. She felt like she was doing something right. But all in all, it was wrong. I mean, it even sounded wrong. But God has his way. So I feel like, her making that decision, was that faithful? Was that right for her to just offer that? Or did God know that she was going to do that? Let me see. You would have to ask that question when slavery ends. Ah, look at you. Preach, preach. Okay, okay. But all right, well, I guess, well, let's count when did it begin? Because if it began in 800, if you add up 400, will it be present day? Because that's a good question too. Like if it started in, let me see, where we at? 2021. So subtract 400 years. Where we at, and then if you run that by, when slavery started, is that 400 years? Is it going to present day? Because that might be a clue, like, hey, slavery, when you subtract 400 years now, we're looking at slavery to end in 2030, so that's another question to ask yourselves, because I mean, how, like you said, how we know that we are not destined to be in slavery in another form, and like you feel like it's present day, then in 400 years, like, does it end? Is it going to end in another 2 or 5 years? Who knows? But I'm gonna look up those numbers, but then we run that by you, okay? And put that in the chat for anybody or for all the answer. If you let me see. So if you subtract let me see, subtract. I don't want to write all in there. I got my typewriter, all of it. Subtract 400 years from now. Would it I'm almost finished, y'all. All right, so I put 2 questions in there. Just, because I mean, like, I feel like we're, onto something with that verse, a little bit. But hey, like you said, this is the book written by man, and like he said, probably in that day, somebody might have said, 600 years, but when it got around to the person who wrote that verse, he might have heard 4. So, like, leaning on your own understanding, hey, we can research and do all we possibly can, but only, God knows, when he coming or when things are going to end and how we need to proceed. 16. 16, where I'm at. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Sariah and okay, so that's still part of 3. All right, so 16. 2. Sariah said to Abram, look, the Lord has not allowed me to have children, so have sexual relations with my slave girl. If she has a child, maybe I can have my own family through her. Abram did what Sarai said. It was after he had lived 10 years in Canaan that Sarai gave Hagar to her husband, Abram. Hagar was her slave girl from Egypt. Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When Hagar learned she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarai badly. Okay, so you see the setup? Because I feel like even right there, like, it's going to be some resentment. Like, if you can't fulfill something for your husband, but you feel like you're doing a good deed by offering him something. And I mean, oh, girl, a slave, so it's not like she could say, no, stop or whatever. I mean, like, she was in a situation, but there's going to be resentment because, I mean, hey, how could he not have that love for this person who's carrying his kid? Like how, I love you, wife, I love you, wife, but just to have the expectation for her husband to not have these feelings. He haven't even been around someone that was carrying his child before. So I feel like, in that moment, she might have felt like, hey, I'm going to be put on a pedestal. This is, he's going to, ensure, love me. But that's something that's a feeling that she haven't even like received yet. So she really was basing it off of like, false, promises, because I mean, she was never been in that situation. That something had to her, and she didn't have like girlfriends going through it or nothing. So it's like with, putting yourself in that situation, there may be some consequences, You say Jim Crow said that if you have to keep your slaves in bondage, you haven't properly broken your slave. Same in the scandal. No, it won't. Slavery starts at the beginning of time. So when did time begin? Slavery won't end. Yes, it can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. That's if we want to live in this society, But I feel like the stigma is going to follow us everywhere, because I mean it was propaganda to the world, how, we look, our color, our skin, and I feel like you want to put the people in bondage that's has the most pivotal threat. I don't feel like no other like race is more feared than us, and there's reasons behind that. 16:6. But Abram said to Sarai, oh, I'm sorry. Let me start 16:4. Abram had sexual relations with Hagar and she became pregnant. When Hagar learned she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarai badly. And my thing is now, he calling her a mistress because she was first the wife, But I guess she became mistress because she married the king. But all of that was his suggestion. But now she is the mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, this is your fault. I gave my slave girl to you, and when she became pregnant, she began to treat me badly. Let the Lord decide who is right, you or me. So it's like, okay, now you want to question the Lord. The Lord had nothing to do with your decision. He didn't come down and say, hey, you get a slave girl. Y'all went above his understanding, or, didn't even go to him first. So that stands out for me. 16:6. But Abram said to Sarai, you are Hagar's mistress. So he threw up the king, do anything you want to her. Then Sarai was hard on Hagar, and Hagar ran away. Okay, wait. Hagar, slave girl from Egypt named Hagar. Oh, okay, no. All right, I'm sorry, I'm getting the names mixed up. All right, so Abram said, you are Hagar's mistress. Do anything you want to her. Then Sarai was hard on Hagar, and Hagar ran. So that's the slave girl named Hagar. Okay, my bad. All right, I thought he was throwing up the what happened back in the day, but I'll see. I misinterpreted. All right, moving on. 16:7. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the desert by the road to Shur. The angel said, Hagar, Sarah's slave girl, where have you come from? Where are you going? Hagar answered, I am running away from my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, go home to your mistress and obey her. The angel also said, I will give you so many descendants, they cannot be counted. The angel added, you are now pregnant, and you will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cries. Ishmael will be like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will attack all his brothers. The slave girl gave a name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are God who sees me, because she said to herself, I have really seen God who sees me. So the well there between Kadesh and Beer was called Beer Lahai Roi. Hagar gave birth to a son for Abram, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. Now, I'm seeing just reading over that part real quick, and, they told her to go back, but then it was like, your son is going to, be, a terror, look like, and I feel like just like, are you going back, to help, or are you going back to hinder? Because right now the setup just seems like, why the Lord the angel of the Lord will ask her to do these things. And especially bring a child into, the world and make him to be, considered a bad child. So let me see. Yes, God of the Bible did say that. And God said, go in and kill the men and children and take the women as your own. It looked like women were getting killed. Women were treated like property. I don't feel like they were, because they barely talk about women until after they started talking about, the situation with Sarai and the king and the brother and all of that and Abram. So it was like, that's where women kind of come into the picture right now. But they were utilized. And so, but like you said, just listening to how the story going, it's like I don't lean on that, for this to be true of God. Like the book was written by man, but what he would do and what he wouldn't do is doesn't compare to like when you see talks of him in other chapters. Like why would he proceed this way and then in another chapter do this? This book can cause confusion. So that's why you have to rely on faith, because God is not the author of confusion. And when I say that, it's like, okay, for instance, like you've been traveling the highway going a certain route to work, every day, to your understanding, you're not going to question that route, the ins and out, the landmarks, what's around it. So I feel like when you become comfortable in something, there's no need to question it. But when it comes to other things, you might question because that was like a form of deceit or a form of, hey, the way they moved or how they answered the question that make you do a little bit further research. So I feel like when it comes down to this Bible, yes, it's available, but I feel don't completely rely on this to be your understanding how, to interpret him in this light, because there are issues within each chapter that tells you that, hey, God moved this way, but why he moved this way, and then why he did this and that. And it's like, I don't want all of that confusion, and he's not the author of it. So we just got to be mindful to look within and not so much look for things or people or references to have us find the answer. Yes, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous if you look at it from that point of view. So anybody that picks up the Bible, this could, cause confusion if you're, I feel like how you start, like if your spirit is in a good place, then you can always find the reasoning or, the ability to get through it and move on from it. Because I'm not going to sit on this like, oh man, I read that verse, I'm done with the Bible. No, I'm going to continue doing what I set out to do as my goal. But I just know that I'm not going to lean on the Bible to be my final, my final determination of how I feel about him. So, and I just want, people to understand that, don't rely on any book or any person or any, work of man to be your faith, because, you might get disappointed. So the Bible is not the eternal word of God. Because it was adapted by man, like these words and this, these are translations from something else. So, it was like, in that translation or the Bible being created and translated, might have left or changed or confused, connotation. So I feel like, we have to be mindful, of the beginnings and just, our own understanding. We do lean on it, but ultimately have faith. That, hey, would he do that, as opposed to this, because God is a loving God, so the Bible is not the eternal word of God. Well, my thing is God was created by man. I mean, not God. The Bible was created, by man, and all we know is that he created the commandments, that's said throughout. So it's like, hey, transcribe, you might see, people talk about writing letters throughout the Bible and having, but it's not like they have a chapter of all the letters, like everything's been translated. So I'm not going to lean on that. So the Bible is not the either way. The Bible is just a translated book. So that is my answer. That is my answer. All right, so chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Obey me and do what is right. I will make an agreement between us, and I will make you the ancestor of many people. Then Abram bowed face down on the ground. God said to him, I am making my agreement with you. I will make you the father of many nations. I am changing your name from Abram to Abraham, because I am making you a father of many nations. I will give you many descendants. Now nations will be born from you, and kings will come from you. And I will make an agreement between me and you and all your descendants from now on. I will be your God and the God of your descendants. You live in the land of Canaan now as a stranger, but I will give you and your descendants all this land forever. And I will be the God of your descendants. Then God said to Abraham, you and your descendants must keep this agreement from now on. This is my agreement with you and all of your descendants, which you must obey. Every male among you must be circumcised. Cut away your foreskin to show that you are prepared to follow the agreement between me and you. From now on, when a baby boy is 8 days old, you will circumcise him. This includes any boy born among your people or any who is your slave, who is not one of your descendants. Circumcise every baby boy, whether he is born in your family or bought as a slave. Your bodies will be marked to show that you are a part of my agreement that lasts forever. Any male who is not circumcised will be cut off from the people because he was broken. He has broken my agreement. Now, this verse and what had came up in a situation with one of another YouTuber or content creator, and that this is considered humane, and you look at research or you look up anything when it comes to circumcision, it's like, hey, it's healthy, and then it's like it's unhealthy, sometimes it can injure and all of the above. But I mean, either way, all of this was, was depicted by, men. So it's like, hey, doctors recommend it. Did they get their research from the Bible, or did they do research, because it's like a pro and a con. Nobody want to put a child that's considered traumatic, to most children. The memory of the surgery, the pain, the sensitivity, sometimes you lose nerve. So what's healthy and what's not? So I just want to know, what's your thoughts? Do you feel that this was mistranslated, like before, or when it was written in the Utherian word, or whether it was written in Hebrew or any other language before it was translated into English? Do you think that verse said that as far as being circumcised, or do you think man inputted their own thoughts with that? Because initially, when we read verse or we look at back at other chapters, it's telling obey and adhere to your king and do what's right, or follow the laws and regulations. But then ultimately, is it God's law? Because we're not living by God's law, or what God stimulates in the Bible. Our laws is of our land and what we live by. We have things that can get people locked up. So even though God has commandments, we have an additional rules and regulations from the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and then we got local and government laws, and we have all the way down to driving. We have rules and regulations when it comes to driving. So I just want to throw that out there. Do you think that in this part of the Bible, when it talks about circumcision, was that man or was that somebody else's decision? So what's up, Sterling? Welcome. Thank you for coming through. Chilling. Welcome to Bible study. So we're at 17:15. God said to Abraham, I will change the name of Sarai, your wife, to Sarah. I will bless her and give her a son, and you will be the father. She will be the mother of many nations. Kings of nations will come from her. Abraham bowed face down on the ground and laughed. He said to himself, can a man have a child when he is 100 years old? Can Sarah give birth to a child when she is 90? Then Abraham said to God, please let Ishmael be the son you promised. God said, no. Sarah, your wife, will have a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will make my agreement with him to be and agree agreement that continues forever with all his descendants. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will bless him and give him many descendants, and I will cause their numbers to grow greatly. He will be the father of 12 great leaders, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will make my agreement with Isaac, the son whom Sarah will have at this same time next year. After God finished talking with Abraham, God rose and left him. Then Abraham gathered Ishmael, all of the males born in his camp, and the slaves he had bought, so that day Abraham circumcised every man and boy in his camp as God had told him to do. Abraham was 99 years old and he was circumcised. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised. Abraham and his son were circumcised at the same day. Also, on that day, all the men in Abraham's camp were circumcised, including all those born in his camp and all the slaves he had bought from other nations. All right, so what we see, I think the word y'all looking for is inherit. We said, I think the word is okay. Oh, okay. So you're talking about right here. So the Bible is not the inherent word of God. Is that what? Is that the answer, or that's what you were doing a correction for, Sterling? Okay, I think yeah. But it's a great question, huh? Okay. Okay. Well, when I think about inherent, it sounds like it's two different words. So I want to let me cross it, because are you saying inherent or are you saying inherit? So let me Google that. Unless I got the definition already, y'all can go ahead and post it. But I'm gonna just type it in right here. Or I could ask. Well, I was gonna ask Siri, but in here I can read it. All right. So inherent means, let me see.
Inherent.
Okay, inherent. Existing to something as a permanent, essential, or characteristic attribute. So the Bible, is not meant, is not the, okay. So it's not the permanent, essential characters. Okay. Is the Bible the inherent word of God? Yes or no? If not, then how do we know which parts are and are not translated correctly? All right. And I feel like we don't, because, so to answer your question, it would be no, because this was translated by man. And like I pointed out earlier, I feel like there are pieces of God in this book, but I don't feel like we should rely heavily on it to be the word of God, because as you can see, there was different people, nations, fathers and, descendants and all of that. So to sit back and say, God said this, and then over here be like, well, why God do that? God, in every time he talked, sometimes throughout the Bible, he's very specific, he's very repetitive, and he ensures that you understand what he wants you to do. So I feel like when it's being translated from others, like I don't know if y'all ever played the game where you tell one person and you go down. I feel like through several years, decades, centuries, it's been flipped. And, like when it was translated into the English version, I feel like certain things were, in place by man to have us read or move a certain way, and even then, if you think back to, I think about the movie, y'all remind me of that movie with Denzel where he was like trying to, keep the Bible, that one book, that's a good movie. So if y'all remember it, posted, it doesn't come to mind, but posted in there. But it's like, even with them trying to hold it and not wanting to, our ancestors, our, slaves to read the Bible, because there were still pieces of him that wasn't confusing, that still provided, people with worth or guidance, or on a spiritual or godly level, because people still do believe that and have faith. So I feel like through faith, the Bible talks about it, throughout the book, so it tells us that we have to have lean more on faith than on man, because man can be corrupted, they can be greedy, they can be sinful, all of the above. And so as sometimes, so as the women in the Bible that they discuss, there's some good women they talk about, then they have some deceitful women in, where they talk about in the book as well. So we just gotta know and recognize, like, hey, if something don't feel right and something don't feel like that, it's not for us to dissect, because it's not going to be in any books that we have in present day. We have to pray, rely on faith that God is not the author of confusion, and move accordingly, because I feel like he wants all his children to be happy. But, man can get out of control and misinterpret his own understanding. Mr. Jane, go up and read the glyph statement. Okay. That's how you spell it? Is it called, like when you Google it, the glyph statement? Because I'll look it up after I conclude. Let me see. So I'm writing it down now, but if you want to post the link for me to read it, I can do that too as well. And then I can share my screen, and we can read it. I can read it at the end of my chapter. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So we're going to start. Let me see. Genesis 18. Later, the Lord again appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre. Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the hottest part of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When Abraham saw them, he ran from his tent to meet them. He bowed face down on the ground before them and said, "Sir, if you think well of me, please stay a while with me, your servant. I will bring some water so all of you can wash your feet. You may rest under the tree, and I will get some bread for you so you can regain your strength. Then you may continue your journey." The 3 men said, "That is fine. Do as you said." Abraham hurried to the tent where Sarah was and said to her, "Hurry, prepare 20 quarts of fine flour and make it into loaves of bread." Then Abraham ran to his herd and took one of his best cows. He gave it to a servant who hurried to kill it and to prepare it for food. Abraham gave the 3 men the calf that had been cooked in milk, curds, and milk. While they ate, he stood under the tree near them. 18:9. The man asked Abraham, "Where is your wife Sarah?" "There in the tent," said Abraham. Then the Lord said, "I will certainly return to you about this time a year from now. At that time, your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were very old. Since Sarah was past the age when women normally have children, she laughed to herself, "My husband and I are too old to have a baby." Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'I am too old to have a baby'? Is anything too hard for the Lord? No. I will return to you at the right time a year from now, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I didn't laugh." But the Lord said, "No, you did laugh." Then the man got up to leave and started out towards Sodom. Abraham walked along with them a short time to send them on their way. You don't like that? Okay, what you mean by read what I typed? I did. All right. I did read it. All right, let me see. 18:17. The Lord said, "Should I tell Abraham what I am going to do now? Abraham's children will certainly become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. I have chosen him so he would command his children and his descendants to live the way the Lord wants them to live right and be fair. Then the Lord will give Abraham what I promised him." Then the Lord said, "I have heard so many complaints against the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. They are very evil. I will go down to see if they are as bad as I have heard. If not, I will know." So the man turned and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood there before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and asked, "Do you plan to destroy the good people along with the evil ones? What if there are 50 good people in the city? Will you still destroy it? Surely you will save the city for the 50 good people living there. Surely you will not destroy the good people along with the evil ones. Then they will be treated the same. You are the judge of all the earth. Won't you do what is right?" The Lord said, "If I had 50 good people in the city of Sodom, I will save the whole city because of them." Then Abraham said, "Though I am only dust and ashes, I have been brave to speak to the Lord. What if there are only 45 good people in the city? Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5 good people?" The Lord said, "If I find 45 there, I will not destroy the city." Again, Abraham said to him, "If you find only 40 good people there, will you destroy the city?" The Lord said, "If I find 40, I will not destroy it." Then Abraham said, "Lord, please don't be angry with me, but let me ask you this. if you find only 30 good people in the city, will you destroy it? He said, if I find 30 good people there, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, I have been brave to speak to the Lord. But what if there are 20 good people in the city? He answered, if I find 20 there, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me, but let me bother you one last time. What if you find 10 there? He said, if I find 10 there, I will not destroy it. When the Lord finished speaking to Abraham, he left and Abraham returned home. Now, this is too many questions. For me, I mean, but God was, people be like, question God, but Abraham was that, he didn't fear, even though but he was more concerned about the people than he was about, upsetting the Lord. So I feel like God took that into the consideration because he did care about those and he didn't want them to, get destroyed. You see, I saw a program called 72 and Pregnant. I think it was a dang. Okay. I feel like miracles happen, and a lot of things that we don't even know about. But, I feel like there's some sprinkles of things in the Bible that, are of him. But let me see. There was at least 10 babies, right? 10 babies left in the town. Or are you talking about what Sodom and what are we going about next? Well, I don't know. We're about to find out. Did it get destroyed? We all know the answer, though. But yeah, we're going to find out why, because he didn't find them 10. 19, Genesis 19. The two angels came to Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting near the city gate. When he saw them, he got up and went to them and bowed face down on the ground. Lot said, sirs, please come to my house to spend the night. There you can wash your feet, and then tomorrow you may continue your journey. The angels answered, no, we will spend the night in the city's public square. But Lot begged them to come, so they agreed and went to his house. Then Lot prepared a meal for them. He baked bread without yeast, and they ate it. Before bedtime, men, both young and old, and from every part of Sodom surrounded Lot's house. They called to Lot, where are the two men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sexual relations with them. Okay, so what just happened, man? Okay, before bedtime, men, both young and old, from every part surrounded. Okay, wait a minute. Y'all just heard that verse? Yes, he should have. Let me see. Yes, he should have went and found 10 babies. 10 babies in the town. God probably already knew that the town was so bad. You see what happened in the end. But my thing is this verse right here. Men, young and old, surrounded Lot's house. Okay. And you see how it mentions about bring them out to us so we can have sexual relations with them. How you feel about that verse? Like to us, it means, the community, what I'm saying, that, the LGBT, but back in that day, were men looked at as women too? So it's like breaking down about, that's why I like to read this for myself, because when you have conversations, where people don't think it's like, this is what's, going on in the Bible. But if you lean on it, like if I took what they say and just held it as my own, it would cause confusion for me, because what they say in the Bible, God don't like, God wanted to be a man and a woman together, or, but there's these instances of, okay, this type of sexual, relations going on. And we see that in shows, that we watch when we watch Roman Empire and all of these other shows. I mean, men are congregating all together, and it's like, but it's so feared now, then we say, what about Christianity? It's in the Bible, so we got a term for it now, but it's like, then it wasn't so disgusting. This was the norm, Do you believe or do you have faith? I have faith. And my faith is like strong, so that's why I try to, like, when I look at something like with this, I could look at this and close the Bible and be like, man, this is just this, but I'm not relying on this to teach me about God, because I feel like, once again, he's not the author of confusion. And this is, because this was touched by man, that this can lead to confusion. All right, 19:6. Lot went outside to them, closing the door behind him. He said, "No, my brothers, do not do this evil thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. I will give them to you, and you may do anything you want with them. But please don't do anything to these men. They have come to my house, and I must protect them." Now let's think about that. Now, what if you sitting in the house, right, and you like, I know they didn't have Nintendo in there, but the girls like, taking chilling, reading books, and you hear your father say that, I have 2 daughters. Take them. But don't mess with my sons. Don't affect my sons. How you think as a woman, me hearing that, or me reading that, and just how that's looked upon? Like, man, my father is about to. That's a traumatic experience. Like, man, there's not like one. There's men surrounding the house, young and old. So this look like for us, I think of a train. Like, you gonna put your daughters in that circumstance, and then it's like, okay, now I'm going back to what? Question God. God's sitting up there chilling. I got angels in the house, so he know where his angels are at. Why is it that we got this going on right now? Why am I offering anything? When we supposed to be like, hey, preparing for them to go in the city and fuck some shit up, So it's like, taking all of these instances, can make you feel some type of way about the Bible, and about what's being said. Okay, you had quick before I get back started. Let me say, why would God make the daughters get their father drunk and rape them? See, that's what I'm saying. We always go back to why would God? But these are in reading this, you would jump to God because, hey, in what we know from the beginning, hey, we're here because of him. Hey, he got the angels here because of him. The angels got the people around the house because of him. So we were trying to God. But let's talk about choices. What the angels were supposed to do? Was they supposed to stop by the house and eat? Do everything? They had a plan already. But because Abraham convinced them to come on, come eat some bread, come do that, or they would have already been in the city. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to each his own. These are the choices that led to these further choices. So I'm not going to always jump to God because he already said what he wanted to be done. The angels got orders. Abraham was already, known, but it didn't say anywhere that, okay, when the angels come, we're going to have a part, we're going to wash their feet and, get them relaxed to go into battle, So remember that part, we can't always just jump straight to him because everybody have a choice in this matter. All right, 19:9. The man, where we at? Okay, yeah, 19:9. The men around the house answered, "Move out of the way." Then they said to each other, "This man Lot came to our city as a stranger, and now he wants to tell us what to do." They said to Lot, "We will do worse things to you than to them." They started pushing him back and were ready to break down the door. But the 2 men, staying with Lot, opened the door, pulled him back inside the house, and then closed the door. They struck those outside the door with blindness, so the men, both young and old, could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, "Do you have any other relatives in the city? Do you have any sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or any other relatives? If you do, tell them to leave now, because we are about to destroy this city. The Lord has heard of all the evil that is here, so he has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and said to his future sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters, "Hurry and leave the city. The Lord is about to destroy it." But they thought Lot was joking. At dawn the next morning, the angels begged Lot to hurry. They said, "Go, take your wife and your 2 daughters with you, so you will not be destroyed when the city is punished." But Lot delayed. So the 2 men took the hands off Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters, and led them safely out of the city. So the Lord was merciful to Lot and his family. After they brought them out of the city, one of the men said, "Run for your lives. Don't look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Run to the mountains or you will be destroyed." But Lot said to one of them, "Sir, please don't force me to go so far. You have been merciful and kind to me and have saved my life, but I can't run to the mountains. The disaster will catch me. I will die. Look, that little town over there is too far away. Let me run there. It's really just a little town and I'll be safe there." The angel said to Lot, Very well. I will allow you to do this also. I will not destroy that town, but run there fast, because I cannot destroy Sodom until you are safely in that town. The town is named Zor because it is little. All right. So now at this time, he's still making like they telling him to go. He's still questioning like, oh, what he can and can't do, but here we go. You said it wasn't God's plan. It was God's plan in the beginning. What he wanted him to do in the angel's instructions. But didn't they dwell off the plan? Didn't Lot do something different? Did the angels do something different? So mind you, imagine what would have happened if they went straight to the city and they didn't stop at Lot's house for bread and milk. 1923. The sun had already come up when Lot entered Zoar. The Lord sent a rain of burning sulfur down from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah and destroyed those cities. He also destroyed the whole Jordan Valley, everyone living in the cities and even all the plants. At that point, Lot's wife looked back. When she did, she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and all the Jordan Valley and saw smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. God destroyed the cities in the valley, but he remembered that Abraham had asked what Abraham had asked. So God saved Lot's life, but he destroyed the city where Lot had lived. 1930. Lot was afraid to continue living in Zoar. So he and his two daughters went to live in the mountains in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old. Everywhere on earth, women and men marry, but there are no men around here for us to marry. Let's get our father drunk and have sexual relations with him. We can use him to have children and continue our family." That night, the two girls got their father drunk, and the older daughter went and had sexual relations with him. But Lot did not know when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night, I had sexual relations with my father. Let's get him drunk again tonight so you can go and have sexual relations with him, too. In this way, we can use our father to have children to continue our family." So that night, they got their father drunk again, and the younger daughter went and had sexual relations with him. Again, Lot did not know when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older father gave birth to a son and named him Moab, and he is the ancestor of the Moabite people who are still living today. The younger daughter also gave birth to the son and named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonite people who are still living to this day. Okay, so here we are. All right. Are you an atheist? No. Empty. All right. So when it comes down to that, I feel like you hear these choices, and that's what you brought up. I wanted to read the story, but yeah, I think you brought that up earlier in the chat that about these sex relations with the father. And here we go to did God know that this is going to happen? Just like, let's speak hypothetically. Okay, let's say if he knew. Okay, let's say he knew. Why should he have interfered with their choices? Because for me, when you think about people being drunk or, discombobulated, that they are aware of what's going on. But for me, it's like, okay, to get him drunk, or to get him in that. Did Lot really understand, hey, what was going on in all actuality? Did he, and why, we could say why the spirit didn't come down on him to wake him up or say, hey, Lot, this has happened. Or, we can say all of these things, but at the end of the day, it transpired for a reason, because think about Lot. Let's go backwards. Lot, pleaded, was like, hey, I don't want to run to the mountains initially. You remember? It was like question, no, I don't want to go to the mountains. I want to go to this city. Well, he ended up going to the mountains anyway. See, choices, okay? Because that city what would happen if he destroyed everything, and Lot just ran to the mountains initially? Do you think they would have had to make that decision? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because of these decisions by man, not by God, because we like, God, why you didn't step in? Well, God, everybody had their choices. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure he would have like God to step in, when his wife turned to salt. But that wasn't part of the plan. Everybody had their own choices to make in this. Why we can say, God, why he got drunk twice? Why? He didn't have a hangover. What they drinking back in the day in the cave. We can go all of that, but then that, you'll get lost in translation and God and all of that. And that's just like, hey, he's not the author of confusion, but he's not trying to control nobody's destiny. He's like, oh, okay, they move this way. All right, well, there might be consequences for how they move, in that way. So, but hey, is that of God? Remember, this book has been touched several times. So here you go. It's just fate that, God wouldn't put that into play. That was choices of man. Let that man, get his, repercussions for those decisions. Let the daughters go through whatever, because that is wrong. I mean, if we do that in our day and time now, the father get arrested for having sex with their daughters. Point blank. You see jail, whatever, but they didn't have jails back then. They were in the cave and it was just them. And for me, it's like a daughter, trying to have sex. I could, look at my father like that. But because their own ways, they wanted to bring children into the world in a cave. So, I mean, that's like traumatic too. All right. Let me see. What God you believe in? I believe in Heavenly Father. I'm spiritual, So, I mean, for me, it's like, me, if I believe on my intuition, I feel like God blesses us with things where we can, we have these intuitive thoughts and feelings and, things. So I trust on that and I pray and he's answered my prayers, and I feel like you just live a good life, and not rely on things, whether it's, any Bible is in the Bible or not, you just have faith that, okay, I'm gonna do what's right. I'm gonna do what feels right. And I feel like, that's the God in me, And so if I look at how they put God in this limelight in the book, it would discourage me, but for me to wander around this earth and not figure out your purpose or why you created or what type of being you are, I feel like that would be a sad life for me, so I feel good about my place in heaven, or, in wherever, is created. I feel good at how I'm moving, and I hope y'all do too, and that's how I move. I want to bring happiness to anyone and everybody that I touch. I want to teach, and, whatever I learn, I like to give back. So, and, just like, for me, your body is a temple. I've been celibate for 6 years, and I feel like your body is your, cave. And when you have a lot of people enter your temple, it leads to confusion. So that's my little tidbit. We're going to finish this last chapter 20, and then because we got to break this book down. Genesis is a big chapter. So, but I'm enjoying it, and talking on it, and so far. So yeah, it's 50 chapters. So we're going to break it down. We're going to get through it. So I'm enjoying learning, which I have. I don't believe I know of many. Is it deities or deities? Like which one? Look at Sterling. Is prayer changing God's plan? No, if your prayer is like involves God, you need to change this up, telling him what to do, then that's your prayers. Everybody's prayers is different. But for me, like when I pray for humanity, I pray for those that's, in poverty, homeless, like just for systematic changes, And so my prayers is not so. Let me see. The trees equal God. What you talking about? Smoking trees, like sun trees. That's why I said scientist, Sterling. Okay, that's y'all. Y'all have y'all conversation. All right, I'm gonna keep with the chapter. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. And after reading that, that was kind of interesting because that's all we talked about previously in the previous chapters. The giving of the slave wife. And then here we go with now you see it from a female point of view where they go and do some deceitful stuff to their father. And they are, let this verse tell you that like they got a generations, like they didn't have no birth defects or nothing. Because you think of a father and a child having a child, like you think that the child is on disability or something, so it's like, but they all, the way they tell it in this verse is like, oh, they're still living to this day. So it's like, okay. All right, chapter 20, Genesis 20. Abraham left Hebron and traveled to southern Canaan, where he stayed a while between Kadesh and Shur. When he moved to Gerar, he told people that his wife Sarah was his sister. All right, so we doing this again. Abimelech, king of Gerar, heard this, so he sent some servants to take her. But one night God spoke to Abimelech in a dream and said, "You will die. The woman you took is married." But Abimelech had not gone near Sarah, so he said, "Lord, would you destroy an innocent nation? Abraham himself told me, 'This woman is my sister.' And she also said, 'He is my brother.' I am innocent. I did not know I was doing anything wrong." Then God said to Abimelech in a dream, "Yes, I know you did not realize what you were doing, so I did not allow you to sin against me and touch her. Give Abraham his wife back. He is a prophet. He will pray for you and you will not die. But if you do not give Sarah back, you and your family will surely die." So early the next morning, Abimelech called all his officers and told him everything that had happened in the dream. They were very afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham to him and said, "What have you done to us? What wrong did I do against you? Why did you bring this trouble to my kingdom? You should not have done these things to me. What were you thinking that caused you to do this?" Then Abraham answered, 20:11, "I thought no one in this place respected God and that someone would kill me to get Sarah. And it is true that she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but she is not the daughter of my mother. When God told me to leave my father's house and wander in many different places, I told Sarah, 'You must do a special favor for me. Everywhere we go, tell people I am your brother.' Then Abimelech gave Abraham some sheep, cattle, male and female slaves. He also gave Sarah, Abraham's wife, back to him and said, 'Look around you at my land. You may live anywhere you want.' Abimelech said to Sarah, 'I gave your brother Abraham 25 pounds of silver to make up for any wrong that people may think about you. I want everyone to know that you are innocent.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his servant girl so they could have children. The Lord had kept all the women in Abimelech's house from having children as a punishment on Abimelech for taking Abraham's wife, Sarah." Now this right here, okay, this right here is like, why are we still going back, with these tricks? You know what I'm saying? Like, the name of this chapter was Abraham Tricks Abimelech, but why are we still doing that? Like, I feel like here we go with him, like they up in years. Like, they're like over 100, but like for us, they probably walking around looking like they 20, 30, you know what I'm saying? Like different times, right? But why are we still going into cities and not trusting that God has the most or the best for us? So it's like, these are with the, these different, references is like leading you to be like, man, why is he still pulling this card of brother sister gang? Like they got kids, they done had live places, and you should have learned from beginning. But here we go, like, hey, God come through and be like, "Hey, Abimelech, like why is he got to come through and tell dude, why is he, Abraham, still running this brother sister show?" So I feel like he had a lot of patience with Abraham because he saw something that maybe he didn't, but it's like confusing. Like I would be confused right there. Like, man, we're not going to still, be doing this, Abraham. Like, I'm your wife. Like, I would be like, hey, Sarah, like, chill out with this. Why are we doing this again? It always doesn't turn out well. Last time we did it, people got diseases. Now this person doing now that he putting the whole house on punishment. So, but, let me see today. I'm going to stop it. I am enjoying reading this because it's like opening up, But we're going to end it here today at chapter 20. Let me see what y'all talking about a little bit. Let me see. All right. Let me see. Do you believe in the creator? Are y'all asking each other this? All right. Sustains life. Sustain. There you go with the spell checking. Yeah, I have a biology degree. I understand trees sustain slavery, but I told call them gods. But I told call them gods. Uh-oh. But I don't call them gods. There you go. Correction, corrected. All right. I don't believe. I know science meaning things, but that can be tested over and over again and get the same results. Oh, that's the definition of insanity too, right? No, I don't call them gods either, bro. Yeah, yeah, because that can be misinterpreted too. Because there's only one God, and then when everybody start coming and say, "Well, I'm God too," there's God in me. He was my creator, but you know, but to each his own. Like I said, everybody get different interpretations of how they read or perceive the Bible, and when science, that's still man involvement. There's man involvement in all of what y'all talking about. All of it. But when it comes to trees, whatever, they tear them down, they put them back up. And for me, it's like, there's so many questions that we still don't have answers to this day. You still tell me how, we got so many planets that we cannot frequent. Like, I mean, can you imagine like being in space and traveling to another like there's decades and or years to get to other planets, solve some shit like that for me, what I'm saying, or why we can't fly close to a star, not the star, not the sun, because we can't even get close to the sun without melting. So those are the mysteries, that let me know that there's something bigger than just what man is talking about, because we got black holes. Tell me about that, and who's to say on the another side of this, this, not the outside this planet and on a different world, that we don't have another species. We just don't know. We have a lot of if ands buts about it, but that's why you just have to have faith. It always comes back to faith. So thank y'all for chilling with me. I appreciate the love and support. Thank you for all of y'all coming through. Let me do a little rundown before I go. So thank you, EVE, my sis, for coming through. Thank you, Jacksonville, for coming through the show. Always love. Bobby, keep it tight. Sterling for showing up and showing out. And I appreciate y'all. I don't ever want this to be a place where you can't, express yourself, as well as, we be respectful, because there's always, when there's this many questions in this Bible, for me, that's a problem, so it shouldn't be this many questions for something that's supposed to, help assist us in our beliefs, and any of those beliefs shouldn't be always negative, because I feel like people don't give their notion of the devil, or so many questions. Y'all think of Satan, hell, whatever. It's like, he don't get all of this version. It's just like, okay, the devilish ways, okay, chalk it up to the devil. Y'all don't say why he devilish or why he didn't do, it's like all of that involves negativity. But it's like when it comes down to God, and he might, show grace. You gotta also think that, the devil was created, or, the fallen angel, or however y'all call him, what have you, was created by God. So it's like, there's lessons to everything, especially, someone like this, like a child trying to, run, like, man, or when they have their sons or, daughters trying to be, the father, or take your role, like, hey, everybody has their role. And I feel like they give God a lot of slack, more than they do those who go against him, and what he wants to see for his children, So, and the fact that we can still create children, man can't do that, So I do feel like men and women, are destined to be together. There's a person for everyone. And to go into this place where we take bits and pieces and feel like we have to have several women, or be with several men, or sleep with several people, there's consequences. And we see that because, I mean, in the Bible, they don't talk about STDs, but they do talk about diseases. and diseases they talk about, none of them are at the CDC today. I'm saying, there was no HIV, there wasn't no herpes, syphilis, none of that, in the Bible back in the day. There was plagues, and we there was plagues back in decades, but diseases we have, tells you about, the temple and mixing of juices and stuff, and how, we just need to go back to that monogamy phase of just that man and wife, and anything in addition to that is just greedy. It's too greedy. So, love ya. Peace out. Let me see. Oh, you had something to say? What you say? When you read the Devil's Bible, I will. Look at you. There you go. You have a great day, this show. You always keep me on my toes. All right. Again, peace out. Thank y'all for coming through. Y'all have a great Sunday. Have a great week. And I'll catch y'all. If not next week, I'm doing these 2 weeks apart. But if I have time, because I know I'm in my final semester, I'm about to be a social worker. So y'all give back. Y'all take care of each other. Take care of yourselves first. Because, if you can't take care of yourself, taking care of other people can wear you out. So just take some self-care. Love on yourself. Love who you are, every part of you. And if you got any problem, do something about it. Don't spend more time thinking negative, because you could have been doing something positive with all those thoughts. Love ya. Peace out.